Improvement Commission, Thursday, September 15th, 2016. Public hearing continued, item number 1, on a joint petition by Cronin Holdings LLC and the Boston Redevelopment Authority for the discontinuance of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within a portion of Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, located on its northeasterly side between B Street and Pier 4 Boulevard / East Service Road. New business, August 4th, 2016. Public hearing, August 18th, 2016. Public hearing continued, September 1st, 2016. As shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Discontinuance Plan, Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, one sheet dated May 25th, 2016. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner. Good morning, members of the board. John Polgini on behalf of Cronin Holdings. I'm joined here this morning with Rebecca LeClaire from Elkis Manfredi, along with Corinne Tobias, who is our traffic engineer on this, as well as the BRAs represented by attorney Lisa Richardson. So thank you for having us. As you guys know, we've been up here several times. This is discontinuance request that relates to a proposed development known as 150 Seaport Boulevard. The project went through a very robust community process and regulatory process, and it was approved by the BRA board back in August. The first discontinuance, which is before you, is a surface discontinuance consisting of approximately 2,959 square feet, and that's a portion of a discontinued Northern Avenue. This is the last of the abutting parcels to be conveyed. The other parcels for that have already been conveyed out.
Okay, so from my notes, I have 3 items that you were working on.
Sure.
Hence the continuance. The work with the BRAs. The work with the BRA been completed?
Yeah. So maybe you can address that.
I'm sorry, so what was the question?
I know there's some work going on with the BRA and this project. Has that work been?
Yes, so the BRA has taken the property and we've entered into an indemnification agreement with the developer. So in the interim, after the parcel is discontinued, Cronin will be indemnifying the BRA for any, for all of the pedestrian traffic or traffic until the BRA feels that we're at a place to be able to convey the property.
Great. Okay. And then I had 2 others that I think you guys are working on behind the scenes. I know the traffic management plan was submitted.
We had a meeting with Mr. Hesford and Pat Hoey yesterday. I think it was a very productive meeting. And I think we're in a relatively good place with respect to that, Mr. Commissioner.
Great.
We did have a meeting yesterday. There was some good progress. There's still some more progress to do in that realm, and I think we have a spirit of cooperation now that both parties are working towards. As far as the traffic management plan, I don't think I've got that submitted yet, but I think we need to wrap up the planning and the things and stuff like that. So I think we're in a good place right now.
Okay. And the only other item that I had, and other members may have in others, is the Eversource easement. I know you were working on an agreement with Eversource.
And we've executed that agreement. Rick Schiavone is here today from Eversource. He could speak to that, but we have reached an agreement with respect to the future easement that we would have with Eversource.
Great.
Yeah, Rick Schiavone from Eversource. We have an executed agreement with Cronin Properties to take care of any remaining facilities that Eversource is going to have in the discontinued area.
Okay.
I think it is important to note too that the KV line does not run through the parcel that's being discontinued.
Great. All right. Thank you, Rick. Good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the joint petition by Cronin Holdings LLC and the BRA for the discontinuance of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within a portion of Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, located on its northeasterly side between B Street and Pier 4 Boulevard. Shown on the plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, a discontinuance plan for Seaport Boulevard in South Boston is one sheet and dated May 25th, 2016.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. Public hearing continued, item number 2, on a joint petition by Cronin Holdings LLC and the Boston Redevelopment Authority for the vertical discontinuance of a portion of Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, located on its northeasterly side between B Street and Pier 4 Boulevard / East Service Road. vertically above the grade of the sidewalk. New business, August 4th, 2016. Public hearing, August 18th, 2016. Public hearing continued September 1st, 2016, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Vertical Discontinuance Plan, Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, one sheet dated May 25th, 2016. Morning again.
Nice, Mr. Commissioner. Again, it relates to the same project. This will be a vertical discontinuance of 2,030 square feet, which goes above, and we have, as Attorney Richardson had mentioned, there's a 115 kV line which runs there. So we were, again, working with Eversource NSTAR with respect to buffering that and also keeping a height so that maintenance can be maintained during the construction and after construction as well.
Okay, three same issues here with the first item is the BRA, traffic management plan, and you're meeting with BTD and Eversource, and
Just on the traffic management plan, who was putting that together?
We will be in for help.
Okay. Where are we on that?
I think we're trying to lock down what we're going to be building, and then we'll put together.
Obviously, you know, you're going to be challenged because the project across the street, the M1, M2, basically will, you know, simultaneously be going together, so you need to coordinate that.
And again, just to reiterate, from the first item, the BRA is working with the project, and
That's correct.
Okay.
We've taken the land and entered into indemnification, so.
great.
Yeah, just for the record, the clearance site is 29.5 feet, which is, this is sufficient for homestead.
Great. Any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition, the joint petition by Cronin Holden LLC and the BRA for the vertical discontinuance on a portion of Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, all are shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Vertical Discontinuance Plan, Seaport Boulevard, South Boston, one sheet dated May 25th, 2016.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Public hearing item number 1, on a petition by Boston Landing LLC for the layout approval of an extension of Life Street, private way open to public travel, Brighton, from Guest Street to a point approximately 270 feet northerly. New business, September 1st, 2016, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Private Street Layout Plan, Life Street, Brighton, one sheet dated August 23rd, 2016. Morning, Pat.
Good morning. Matt from Boston LLC. I'm Pat Conley, UBS Associates. I'm very with Proctor. Just a quick orientation of the site. We're here today for approval of private roadway layout for the extension of Life Street right here, which will connect Guest Street, which is a public way, with the service drive, which is a private driveway. This is the PIC plan that shows the boundaries of the private roadway. And this is a more detailed plan. The private roadway will have 12-foot travel lanes. It will have 8-foot parking pockets on both sides. On the west side, will have a concrete sidewalk and street trees, just like on Guest Street and the public section of Life Street. On the east side, we'll have bituminous sidewalk, which will be temporary until this parcel is developed further. Drainage will flow to the north, and the utilities in the roadway are temporary, again, until this parcel is developed further. I was here for new business. There were some questions about access to the MBTA station. And so there's access from the public Everett Street, and there's also access from the Arthur Street extension. Cars can come down the Life Street extension and go down the service drive. However, it's narrow, it's used primarily for loading. So we think that people do that once or twice, think they're in the wrong way, and will continue to use Guest Street. Same thing with pedestrians. They can access it using the service drive. It's not really pedestrian friendly. So they would eventually use Guest Street and then Arthur Street extension. There's also some emails with the fire department to make sure that they okayed this section. And they looked at it, it's meets all the fire department standards, and it'll be thoroughly reviewed during the building permit process. So that's where we're at now.
Yeah, the last email I got from Paul Donovan, I think Public Improvement Commission was also CC'd on it, said that he was looking for a new set of drawings to be submitted to him. Were those drawings submitted?
No, they're not submitted yet. Those will be submitted as part of the building permit process.
So how do we know if fire department is all set with the drawings that have been submitted?
I'm assuming all the time I looked at the document when I sent it to him. He didn't have any problems with it, and given the details as part of that building permit process.
Well, it's not that he didn't have a problem with it. He wanted engineered drawings and submitted by a traffic engineer that basically showed that there weren't any fire department issues. They'll either do that, or if they can, they'll send down the district chief to drive one of the trucks down there. But in this case, he wanted the drawings, and the drawings haven't been submitted.
Yeah, I read that as that we were going to submit the detailed drawings later in the process. And then
No, because if a modification needs to happen to the street, we don't want you to come back to change the street in reaction to some design that is. That design should be fully baked before you come to lay out the street.
yeah, it is. We just having some detailed drawings.
I don't think, it's probably a good possibility that it isn't going to change, but there's also a possibility that it is going to change. So is there a problem in continuing this for another 2 weeks to see if we get those drawings into the fire department?
It's 3 weeks.
3 weeks, I'm sorry.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Okay, yeah, we don't meet again until October 6th.
Amy,
Yes.
when this issue gets resolved before it, and when it gets recorded, is there a clear understanding that this will forever remain as a private way and that the abutters will not petition?
Yes.
And that will be in the documents?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, having said that, and then the necessary fire documentation that has to be presented, I'll entertain a motion to continue public hearing item number 1 for 3 weeks until October 6th, 2016.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing item number 2 on a petition by 52 Melrose Street LLC for the making of specific repairs within Melrose Street, Boston proper, located on its northwesterly side of address number 52, consisting of new groundwater recharge infrastructure. New business, September 1st, 2016, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair, 52 Melrose Street, Bay Village, one sheet dated August 16, 2016. Morning.
Good morning. Mark Donahoe on behalf of Select 52 Melrose Street LLC. We're here seeking approval to install a stormwater injection well under the sidewalk directly in front of the home.
Gary, have you reviewed this?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Steve, do you know if one insurer has approved it?
Yeah, we're all set.
They're all set, okay. Yeah, there's no land basically with this property, so yeah, the only possible location is in the sidewalk, so I think it's consistent with what we typically do around every judge.
Great. Any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by 52 Melrose Street LLC for making specific repairs within Melrose Street, described and read to the record by the chair, and shown entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, specific repair for 52 Melrose Street, Bay Village. The one sheet is dated August 16th, 2016.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, Ms. Donahoe.
I was asked to deliver the 3 signed licenses.
Thank you.
Very much.
Yep. Best of luck. Thank you. Public hearing item number 3 on a petition by Extenet Systems for a granted location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit within the following public ways in Boston proper: New business, September 1st, 2016. Tremont Street, at Berkeley Street, at West Springfield Street, at Worcester Street, at West Concord Street, southwest of Rutland Square, at West Newton Street, between Pembroke Street and West Brookline Street, at West Brookline Street, at West Canton Street / Aguadilla Street, at Dartmouth Street / West Dedham Street, between Clarendon Street and Waltham Street. Dartmouth Street, north of Columbus Avenue. Yarmouth Street, between Carlton Street and Columbus Avenue. Columbus Avenue, at Dartmouth Street, at West Canton Street, at Braddock Park, at Rutland Square, at Worcester Street, at West Springfield Street, at Concord Square, at West Newton Street / Warren Avenue. Holyoke Street, between Carlton Street and Public Alley 543. West Newton Street, between Columbus Avenue and St. Botolph Street. Greenwich Park, northwest of Columbus Avenue. Wellington Street, northwest of Columbus Avenue, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Extenet Systems, Back Bay Expansion, Proposed Conduit Installation, 8 sheets dated August 2016. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, Ricardo Souza from Prince Lobel Thai, One International Place, and also with me today is John Morrison from UCS Synergetic, and also Paul Thurston, who is Project Manager for Extenet Systems. And Commissioners, this is a continuing effort by Extenet to expand its wireless DAS network in the city, and this petition and the next one involve 25 new nodes in the South End. These have all been vetted by the South End Landmarks District Commission, and from which we received a certificate of appropriateness. We received approval on August 2nd. This particular petition involves 25 digs, and we have really tried to maximize, as a result of the direction of this commission, maximize the amount of micro-trenching that we are using. In fact, the 25 digs involve 2,292 feet of micro-trenching versus 1,387 of traditional digs. And so, as you can see, we've taken your direction and maximized the micro-trenching as best we can.
And again, for the record, is this the first dive into the South End neighborhood?
Yes, it is. That's
okay,
right.
so you've worked with Neighborhood Services Coordinator, people like Alec Benelli and Sam Chambers, and worked
yes,
with, okay.
Yeah, we did community outreach. Absolutely, we met with the originally met with the chairman of the South End Landmarks District Commission. We have shared it with Mayor's Office for Neighborhood Services, and as I said, there were 2 meetings with South End Landmarks.
Usually the first dive into these neighborhoods, people start asking questions as to what is that pole out in front of my house, and
that's right. In
what
fact,
does it do?
Yeah. This is the first time I think that the South End has seen DAS nodes.
Right.
So,
good. Yeah. So that we tiptoe through and make sure that all the construction sites are buttoned up, and I know you work well with Mark Cottarelli and the team at Cobucks, but just make sure that when we get into these neighborhoods for the first time, that we take specific attention to the neighborhood.
Of course, yeah. Fortunately, Paul Thurston has a lot of experience building in the city, and works, I think, very closely with the various city agencies to make sure everybody's aware of what we're doing.
Just for the record, there are city shadow for all these locations.
Yes, there are, and the records, the plans reflect that.
Great.
I can't see it.
Way too tiny.
Apologize. We will make sure that larger.
Now, you were gonna send me a plan of a single extent plan of the whole city, where you're working?
Yep, I gave that to Todd at the last meeting.
Yes, we have I thought you got one as well. I'll give you the drive. We've downloaded it all.
So,
Yeah.
please.
And these were approved by Commissioner Shea. These were approved by Boston Water and Sewer,
Yeah.
of course.
Right here.
Yeah.
There it is.
Thank you.
Great. Any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by Extenet System for grant of location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit within a group of streets in the South End. It's described and read into the record by the chair and is shown on the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plans from Extenet Systems. And the 8 sheets are dated August 2016.
Second.
All in favor? So moved. Public hearing item number 4 on a petition by Exonet Systems for a grant of location to install telecommunication infrastructure on replacement streetlight poles within the following public ways in Boston proper. New business, September 1st, 2016. Tremont Street, at Berkeley Street, at West Springfield Street, at Worcester Street, at West Concord Street, at Rutland Square, at West Newton Street, at Pembroke Street, at West Brookline Street, across from West Canton Street, at West Dedham Street, at Clarendon Street. Dartmouth Street, north of Columbus Avenue. Yarmouth Street, at Carlton Street. Columbus Avenue, at Dartmouth Street, at West Canton Street, across from Braddock Park, at Rutland Square, at Worcester Street, at West Springfield Street, at Concord Street, at West Newton Street / Warren Avenue. Holyoke Street, at Carlton Street. West Newton Street, between Columbus Avenue and St. Botolph Street. Greenwich Park, generally at its terminus northwest of Columbus Avenue. And Wellington Street, generally at its terminus northwest of Columbus Avenue, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Extenet Systems, Back Bay Expansion, Proposed Streetlight Nodes, 26 sheets dated August 2016.
Good morning, Commissioners. Once again, Ricardo Souza on behalf of the petitioner, Extenet Systems. This petition involves the 25 above-ground nodes that we're proposing. Each of these involve the utilization of Boston streetlights, and we are utilizing a design that's been approved in the past, not only by this commission, but by the various historic groups that we've been before, including BBAC. But these 25 nodes were approved by the South End Landmarks District Commission pursuant to a certificate of appropriateness after a couple of meetings. And they involve the utilization of a base design where our cabinets are installed inside the base in order to hide the radio cabinets. And so it's consistent with previous approvals.
Great. Just to reiterate, 25 nodes translates to 25 lights.
Can you repeat?
25 nodes, does it translate to 25 street lights that are changing?
Yes, that's correct.
Second, are all the street lights that are changing, are they of the same type in terms of visual? Are they the same look?
They should be.
Yeah, we're only allowed to attach to a certain style structure throughout the city. So yes, they are. And we also upgrade them with LED fixtures if they haven't been upgraded as well.
As far as the Landmarks Commission is concerned, you have clearly articulated what is before, what is after.
Yes, we have, Commissioner. In fact, our plans reflect before and after for each of the nodes, and we submitted photo simulations at that hearing for each of those nodes, showing before and after.
Almost entirely be Acorn lights, similar to what we saw in the Back Bay. Very similar.
No, these are not Acorn lights. These are your sort of traditional Boston street lights, Zolatone finish in some cases, or black finish. These are not ornamental lights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, these are standard City of Boston street lights. To date, we have not utilized the Acorn design.
Okay. Any of these concrete poles, do you know? I know but we're asking very specific questions.
Oh, absolutely. The majority of all the City of Boston are concrete streetlights that we swap.
We have we're waiting on inventory for concrete poles. So the ones that you take down, I'd thoroughly appreciate it if you could run it by my street lighting crew. And there's places in the city that we can use those as replacements until our inventory gets in. So.
And that's what we do.
Okay.
Material.
Yeah.
Very good.
So that would, if we can just accelerate that, I'd appreciate it. There's a shortage until November, so.
That inventory that's worth, reuse, and a lot of it is damaged that we come across.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Okay. Any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by Exonet Systems for grant of location to install telecommunication infrastructure and replacement city streetlight poles within the following public ways in Boston proper. All is read into the record by the chair, as shown on the set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, grant of location plan, Exonet Systems, Back Bay expansion, proposed streetlight nodes, 26 sheets dated August 2016.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Public hearing item number 5, on a petition by Extenet Systems for a granted location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit within the following public ways in Boston proper. New business, September 1st, 2016. Thatcher Street, between Endicott Street and North Margin Street. Fleet Street, between Hanover Street and Garden Court Street. Garden Court Street, south of Fleet Street, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Extenet Systems, North End, Proposed Conduit Installation, 2 sheets dated August 2016. Morning again, Ricardo.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, so for the record, Ricardo Souza on behalf of the petitioner, Extenet Systems, John Morrison to my left from UCS, and Paul Thurston, Project Manager for Extenet. Once again, this is a continuation of our wireless DAS network expansion. Back on May 12th of this year, we had submitted 17 nodes that were approved for the north end. There were, as part of that project, essentially 4 nodes that we could not fit our base cabinet. So we pulled those nodes out of those petitions that were approved in the May. We went back to the drawing board in an effort to try to redesign those nodes, and 2 of those nodes are presented as part of the petition today. This particular petition relative to conduit for telecommunications services involves essentially 2 digs and 199 feet of micro trenching and 114 feet of traditional digging for these 2 nodes. And the nodes are located, as was stated in the public record, at Fleet Street and also Thatcher Street.
Okay, I'm just slightly confused. I read off 3 locations, but you're only digging 2 of them, is that correct?
The telecom, this is the conduit, so it's going down 3
Okay.
streets. The next one is the node.
Is the nodes?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
One of the conduits wraps in Florence, but
Yes.
Right.
So first the dig, then the pole.
Right.
That's correct.
And we talked at new business that the previous approval process, none of those has been installed yet, right?
That's correct.
The
We're
North
still,
End project
we're
hasn't.
still working on getting those permits. So far, Paul has only been able to obtain 5 permits. I know
Okay.
there's been a lot of work going on in the north end, so we continue to, meet
Work
with
through the permit.
DPW and try to get those permits.
Great. Eddie?
I mean, these are the nearest Verizon manholes, huh? All the way up to Hanover. Nothing overhead.
That I'm aware of. John, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, we visited all the sites with a Verizon engineer and with field staff from our office, and those are the closest manholes to the locations.
And again, I'll reiterate it, I'm a little discouraged because you basically have put all your eggs in one basket with Verizon, which ties the street up, So it's unfortunate. I wish we would have caught it a little earlier, that we could have basically used different, facilities, so we could lessen the cuts. But that being said,
Duly noted it. I appreciate it. Any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition of Extenet Systems for the granted location with lead company status with no participants to install telecommunication conduit in Thatcher Street, Fleet Street, and Garden Court Street, all on shown plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, granted location plan, Extenet Systems, North End, proposed conduit, 2 sheets dated August 2016.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank
Public
you.
hearing item number 6, on a petition by Extenet Systems for a granted location to install telecommunication infrastructure on a replacement city streetlight poles within the following public ways in Boston proper. New business, September 1st, 2016. Thatcher Street at North Margin Street. Garden Court Street at Fleet Street, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Extenet Systems, North End, Proposed Streetlight Nodes, 3 sheets dated August 2016. Morning again.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This particular petition involves the above-ground wireless DAS nodes utilizing 2 City of Boston streetlights, the traditional streetlights. The node at Thatcher Street, we were able to shift so that it involves a base cabinet in accordance with a design that was approved back in May. However, as was discussed in new business 2 weeks ago, the node that's located at the corner of Fleet Street and Garden Court, there simply is not enough clearance as a result of a fence to install our base cabinet. And so what we've proposed to do, and this is the only one as part of this petition and any other node in the North End, would involve a pole-mounted cabinet, which is the traditional design that we've used in many other cities. We did try to exhaust all other efforts. If you walk that area, all the other vertical elements along those 2 streets involve their traditional black gaslight design lights. They are not the traditional street light that you see there. And so in addition to that, adjacent to this pole is an open air, above ground parking lot rather than a residence. And so we felt that this was an appropriate location for this particular design, and we did exhaust all efforts to try to fit a base cabinet in this location. We delivered these photos to Maria Lanza at Mayor's Office for Neighborhood Services together with 2 other community groups, and Maria reported back that she didn't have an objection to this particular design at this particular node.
Great. Yes, I spoke with her as well and got the same response from her, so I appreciate that.
Very good.
Yep.
My pleasure.
I would just add, though, that
Sure.
Specifically this area, the city's going to be putting a lot of capital, a lot of construction in. It's a historic North Square area, home of Paul Revere's house, the Mariners' home, etc. We're going to be rebuilding this whole area and upgrading all this. I mean, it's a historical area. I mean, I'm not an architect, I'm not an aesthetic guy, but I look at that, it doesn't look good.
So, to follow up on what Commissioner Hesford stated, at 60,000 foot view, you recognize that the city reserves the right for whatever the reason to manage your pole in whatever the mannerism the city feels it
Sure.
needs to in the future, right? As
Yes.
long as we are both aware of it, meaning if that pole needs to be reprogrammed, repositioned, rethought through, that will be our request to you, and you recognize that per our agreements, you need to honor that. So that's part one.
Of course, Commissioner. That is reflected in our license agreement, not only with Boston Street Lighting, but with our franchise agreement with the city.
Just want to make sure, because Commissioner Hesford is right on target
Sure.
on that. Second, it seems like there's an overhead wire from that pole to another pole, the one which we are speaking of, or is it just a guide wire?
Perhaps you could speak to that, Paul.
I may be wrong, but
It's probably the banner wires,
The circle.
for the festivals.
so basically, yes.
So, yeah, it looks like it's a banner.
But if it is not, you will manage that
Correct, we are.
correctly.
If it's fed overhead, it needs to get underground fed before you can put in a pole.
Correct. We
Your
take
poles
care
can
of our-
continue the challenges which we have.
Understood, yeah. We'll accommodate that request, of course.
Would the type of streetlight that's on Fleet Street and in those surrounding streets, the basic gas, they're not gas, but they look like
Right.
gas poles, would changing that pole out make any difference to the elimination of this?
I don't think that they structurally could accommodate the antenna at the top, just the way they're configured. We could perhaps come up with a different design, perhaps an ornamental design, rather than this traditional street light, and propose that to be built at this particular location if there's objection to the pole mount.
Yeah,
But
there
it would
aren't
be-
too many concrete poles
Right.
in the north end. I'm just wondering why that pole is the way it is, and if there's any way we can replace it to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing because it's so close to North Square.
Yeah, I think,
What typically has been the case is we do paint these, what the approved paint color is Medusa gray. It's a gray Zolatone to match the concrete style pole. In a lot of other areas, we will paint them black, and it really blends in with the historical aspect and theme, and people don't pick it up between either a traffic light or a gas light or any other type of structure. So if you think you are swapping them out, we could simply just change it to a black pole, and it supports all of our equipment as well, the same means and methods that we currently do.
I think that might be more streamlined. You know, a black design would be consistent with the other gaslight-looking poles that are on those streets, together with a smaller arm for the LED light. I think that's something that's been well received by the North End group.
But do you need that 29-foot? That looks like a 29-foot pole. You need the 29 feet for your node?
We do,
At that location.
just for propagation purposes, radio frequency propagation purposes.
All right, and I know you work well with the street lighting department. If you could just sit down and try to come up with a little more aesthetically pleasing.
I do have actually a question, Commissioner Dennehy. We have been, there's been a lot of changes recently at Boston Streetlights, and we had been working certainly last year with Glenn Cooper and then with Joe Sullivan. Joe says there's a new regime. We've been trying to reach out. Has that been made official? Because we're not getting any responses.
Yeah, I'll connect you to Mr. Yetman, and we'll make sure that this is as seamless as possible.
Yeah, I know
Right.
John and I both tried.
Okay.
Okay,
Great. Thank you. Any members of the audience have any questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition by Extenet Systems for grant a location to install telecommunications infrastructure on replacement streetlight poles in Thatcher Street and Garden Court Street in the North End, as shown in a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division. Grant a location plan for Extenet Systems in the North End. The 3 sheets are dated August 2016.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners.
First item of new business, 375-399 Chestnut Hill Avenue, Beacon Street, Sutherland Road, Brighton, specific repairs on a petition by Cleveland Circle Development Associates, LLC.
Hi.
Morning. Morning, Rick.
I'm Sherry Clancy from National Development. I'm representing Cleveland Circle Development Associates today in connection with our project at the former site of the Circle Cinema. This is a project where we're constructing 2 buildings, one of which is located partly in Boston, partly in Brookline. One is a senior housing facility of 90 units, and the other is a hotel of 162 rooms. As part of our BRA process, Article 80 process, and community process, we entered into a mitigation agreement to do some work within Cleveland Circle, and that's the reason why we're here today. It's some curb changes and some signal upgrades and things. And so we have Howard Stein Hudson here to help us with the technical aspects of the project.
Great. Thank you.
Good morning, Rick Latini with Howard Stein Hudson. I assume you're all familiar with Cleveland Circle, so I don't need to run through the streets that go into the intersection for new business, but I'll do it for the public hearing's sake. Basically what we're doing is, as she mentioned, the project she's discussed is just to the south on Chestnut Hill Ave, and this is part of the traffic mitigation for that project. We are proposing new signalization within Cleveland Circle. There'll be new pavement markings, including there'll be a left turn lane on Chestnut Hill Ave when you're coming from the north from Commonwealth Ave that's not there today. There'll also be bike lanes added on the easterly leg of Beacon Street that aren't there today that'll tie into the bike lanes that are there today on the westerly leg of Beacon Street. We'll also be putting new crosswalks. Several of the pedestrian ramps are in disrepair, so they'll be fixed as well. So a lot of these curb line changes you see are to actually get the traffic signal equipment in and accessible curb ramps. We are shifting this center island about 3 feet to make way for that left turn lane I was just discussing. We're also providing an enhanced landscaping plan in this area. There's our planting islands here and here, and we are adding trees, shrubs, and perennials. We are creating a new planting bed here, which has that, I'll call it a post clock, for lack of a better word, that big decorative clock in there. So Park Department has reviewed this. We've incorporated their comments, and they're actually agreeing to maintain this after we're done. So, lastly, we are providing at least a minimum 5-foot wide pedestrian path throughout the improvements. There is one exception: is this southerly center aisle on Chestnut Hill Ave has an electric manhole. It's actually electric vault. Traffic signals and street lights. So we're proposing to put a 4-foot wide cutout there. It's actually the one that there's today is actually under 3 feet, so it'll be an improvement, but we can't get the 5 feet in. That's a brief summary, so I'd take your questions, and hopefully we can move forward in a few weeks to the public hearing.
quick, let me just summarize things. There has been, over the years, multiple efforts to clean up this intersection. Efforts that were generated through the city's transportation department, BRA, and so forth. Are those thoughts, are they gelling with this, whatever you all are proposing here, or is this independent? Can you clarify?
Yeah, I know we've been coordinating with MBTA, BRA, and I believe there's even a tool design project. I don't know if that's going through BTD. So we've coordinated with all of them, and I've actually have Robbie Burgess here, who's been working on this project for several years too, that can answer these questions. So if I'm missing anything, Robbie, you put me on the spot, but you might know more than me on the history.
Good morning, Robbie Burgess from Howard Stein Hudson. Yes, I know that this location in the past has been the subject of many redesign and planning efforts. This project through BRA review is mostly to improve bicycle accommodations, pedestrian accommodations, and traffic operations. And that's kind of the main intent of this mitigation in the circle at this time, along with the landscape improvements.
So the BRA is heading up the traffic review for pedestrians and so BTD's not involved in this at all, right?
BTD is involved with it. The project has gone through BRA review. It is now within Boston Transportation Engineering Department, Don's group, who is reviewing it. They've reviewed the conceptual design report, the 25% plans, and we're responding to the comments. And
so we're not at 25% level then?
Yes, we've received comments on 25%.
For approval here today.
Robbie, sorry. Exciting project. Ms. Clancy, we always appreciate when your teams help us to manage situations, so we commend you for doing all of that. So you guys need to do a little bit of homework very quickly to make sure that if curb lines or things are moving over here, because I was listening to what you were saying, you want to improve pedestrian access, and we have some tiny bit of challenging issues at the southwest corner of Chestnut Hill and Beacon Street. There are a couple of on that sidewalk. You may want to walk the side, you will know what I'm going to say. There's a tree that is smack right in the middle of that sidewalk. It's a very old tree, we can't chop it down. Okay, so when we were looking at Chestnut Hill roadway improvements and this intersection, there's always been some thought on how to get pedestrian access through there. Because you also said that you were adjusting the median within that intersection. So do give it a composite look. Okay?
Certainly.
And you've got 2 weeks, and I'm fairly confident that you can pull it off, but do get all of that issues resolved with the transportation department.
Yes.
Okay?
And
so, my apologies, you're changing the hardware for the traffic signals?
Correct.
The intersection itself, are you going to pave the whole intersection? Because we have held off doing work over here because this has been an ongoing issue. So Sherry, are you paving the intersection or just how is the road surface going to end up looking?
Currently, we're thinking that we're going to be able to reuse some of the existing conduit, so I don't think we're going to be doing big excavation. If our investigation changes on that level and we have to do some trenching, I think we have to discuss whether it's a full overlay or whether we do deal with the trenches.
Because while we were looking at your projects in the Cleveland Circle area, it was always the understanding that at the end of the day, someone will clean this place up, because we've been putting it on hold because of the projects. So just want to make sure that the circle is worthy of the investment which you are making. Okay?
Understood.
Thank you.
And I would just add that the base engineering plan is the first thing to happen. Then the landscaping happens. But the safety improvements and the pedestrian and traffic engineering is the base plan. Then you can add on from there.
Okay.
Not the other way around.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this for the first time. But I'm having a little concern with the crossing from island to island. Why don't we just make a crossing over at Chestnut Hill Avenue on the southerly side? Instead of having people cross from the center of the street basically to an island to a street. Yeah. Why don't we just cross Chestnut Hill Ave on the southerly side?
Well, we coordinated this with the transportation department, and the desire line is a little bit higher where it's shown on the plan there. And recognizing, currently today it's a stepped crossing where you're supposed to cross halfway, wait a cycle, and then cross the rest using the walk light. And we're proposing to change the timing so that that's one continuous crossing. So now you won't get trapped in the middle island waiting for the next cycle to come around.
I think I'm gonna get trapped. I'm going from island to island, and if I really want to go down towards Sutherland Road, I'm gonna cross in the middle of the street here. You know, I think it's, you know, I think you gotta look at it from the point of view is if I just cross over Beacon Street, you know, over to Chestnut Hill Avenue, just make the one crossing at the southeast side of Chestnut Hill Avenue, then I cut that whole piece out.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna have people stuck in the middle of the street going from, you know, not knowing where to go.
Right. We took the pedestrian counts for that area, and that movement is very low. And then also the project, not shown here, maybe Rick you can show it, is introducing a new crosswalk at the MBTA, a signalized crossing at the MBTA. So rather than have those three crossings kind of proximate to each other, the idea was to have one at the project and one at Cleveland Circle to provide that access. So that will provide access from the project to the MBTA and vice versa. And then also we'll have a crossing at the circle proper.
People are gonna move to the shortest distance. The shortest distance for me is to come right across and go come right across over to Chestnut Hill Ave and across the street. You know, I'm not gonna go from one island to another island to a corner.
So what you're describing is right here?
Correct.
There's an existing crosswalk there today that exists.
Perfect. Leave it.
Yes. It does exist, but what it does complicate is the vehicle operations at the location. So we're able to improve the operations by having those two crossings, one at the project and one at the Cleveland Circle proper. So, you know, the project, I think as an engineer and in terms of traffic movements, I think having the two crosswalks kind of separated from each other provides better operations. But certainly if the city desires to have that crosswalk, we can work with it.
Well, I mean, you know, obviously the transportation department is gonna review this, so obviously I'm gonna ask, you know, that they take a look at it.
Yeah, it's at a conceptual level, 25%, so obviously we have time to.
We also had some, I know when we went to BTD, we also had some concerns there of people coming in contact with the train movement that's there. The train backs up into the train yard. I know Don Burgess was really not in favor of having the crosswalk at that location where it is now because, you know, the trains are doing crazy things there and there's nobody, you know, kind of giving people the heads up that the train's gonna back up or whatever. So I know this plan doesn't actually show what we're doing in Brookline, which is just barely over the line of Brookline. And maybe when we do the public hearing, just for more context, we should show that other crosswalk so you get a better sense of what the total pedestrian movements are. And I think that would maybe help a little bit because it's not shown on this plan since it happens to be over the town line.
Yeah, you just get the plan with showing the crosswalks. Because this plan, you're not able to see what the actual pedestrian path is unless.
So maybe what you're saying too, Eddie, is we should have like a before and after showing people what's being moved so that it's more clear.
Yeah, because your project is going to generate quite a few pedestrian trips, so.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
Just for the record, the plans that Power and I are looking at don't have the crosswalks marked on them. They appear to be the same dated plans, but Mr. Mosher's plans have the pedestrian crosswalks in it, and ours do not.
I sent one with the crosswalks on because I thought you'd want the reference, but I didn't know if it made the plans too messy, but I'll put it on all of them next time. So.
Since you were describing the improvements for pedestrian circulation, I think it will be good for you to have that. Also, Is there a timeline for you to do this work? Is it on some critical path in terms of your work? Or?
Well, really, in a perfect world, I would love to get the bases in for all the signal things before we get into a moratorium period, because there's a lot of coordination with MBTA. Some of this work's going to be night work, it's going to be off hours, and we're under catenary lines. It's really, a lot of the construction management is driven by what the MBTA wants us to do and when they want us to do it. So it would be my fondest wish if we could get the bases in this year. And then, we can work a little bit over the winter if we have some good weather to do some of the other stuff that's above grade. But I'd like to be able to get that in before we hit the moratorium. So that's why I'm kind of anxious on that.
So, come to the chase, slightly concerned that the plans are 25%, so advance it very quickly so that you can resolve Ms. Clancy's concerns, okay, and minimize the risk of having to come back and readjust these. That would be very awkward.
Yes,
okay.
And the comments, we've received comments on the 25% plans, and to date they are primarily operational, how we're timing and phasing.
Okay, good.
So in terms of geometric, crosswalks, ramps, we have not received any comments relative to
that. PDD engineering has blessed this because at the end of the day, Commissioner Hesworth needs to be able to say yay.
Certainly.
Yeah, we also have 3 weeks for the public hearing.
I was going to say,
try to get in. We hit the extra weeks.
This is where this commission skips a heartbeat to catch up on the holiday schedule. So we will not be meeting until 3 weeks. So that should benefit.
That gives us extra time, but
Right.
I think we might even have our 75s in within that window because we're very close. Actually, I think we are really almost there. So that might help because we get a little bit more time for the BTD to weigh in before next meeting. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, we'll see you in 3 weeks for a public hearing on October 6th. Thank you. Second item of new business, Northern Avenue, Seaport Boulevard, Pier 4 Boulevard, South Boston, discontinuances, vertical discontinuances, widening and relocations, pedestrian easement on a set of joint petitions by Seaport G Title Holder LLC, Seaport F Retail Owner LLC, and the Boston Redevelopment Authority. Morning.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Peter Kohansky from Goulston and Stores. I'm here on behalf of Seaport F Retail Owner LLC and Seaport G Title Holder LLC. They're the owners and developers of blocks F and G of Seaport Square in South Boston. We're here on 7 separate petitions, all of which, when we're done, will set the final layouts of Northern Avenue, Pier 4 Boulevard, and Seaport Boulevard. The BRA is a co-petitioner on 4 of the 7 petitions. So Jenna Carlson is here. I'm joined by Jeff Curley of WS Development for the owner, and John Schmidt from Niche. So there's a bit of complexity here, but we'll try to set it out as clearly as we can. John, do you have a context plan for Seaport? Yeah. Just flip it. There you go. Great. So just a reminder of the context. Block F of Seaport Square has District Hall and Seaport Square Green, including the Massachusetts Fallen Heroes Memorial. That block is mostly built out with those public realm improvements. Block G is set to be a development block within Seaport Square, and there's a planned street in between North Harbor Street. So the old layout, the former layout of Northern Avenue up until just recently ran diagonally there, clipping the corner of Block G and quite a bit of Block F and quite a bit of what will be Block G. Under an old land exchange agreement with the Seaport Square owner, the BRA is obligated to convey these parcels once Northern Avenue is straightened as it has been now. So getting to the actions, we've got one plan here that shows all of these parcels, then the PIC plans are broken up, and I think this is the easiest one to go through. starting on the northern side of Seaport Square and the southern side of Northern Avenue. The final design of Northern Avenue has calls for a widening over 10 feet of what was originally planned to be a development parcel. So that's that strip from the sort of ownership boundary of FNG going east. Then on the eastern side of the development site along Pier 4 Boulevard has already been laid out over those parcels. Again, parcels that were originally going to be development parcels. All of this land so far is owned by the BRA until we get down to what are called parcels F1 and F2, which are owned by the Seaport Square owner. F2 is the only one of these parcels that's not within a street layout. So we're asking for a widening of Seaport Boulevard just to sort of complete the kind of streetscape at that corner there. So once those final alignments have been set, we're asking the commission to discontinue the subsurface parcels along those strips to allow for the construction of the garage. You may remember when Pier 4 Boulevard was laid out, that was talked about, the idea that along that strip there would be a subsurface parcel that would be garage. Then existing parcel K on this plan, that's the old layout of Northern Avenue. That had been previously discontinued by the commission in 2001, but had a note on the plan allowing the street to remain there and the utilities to remain there until the roadway was straightened. Now that it has been, we're asking for a confirmatory discontinuance over that strip. The commission has already discontinued that parcel called K1 in the corner in order to build the park, so that's already part of the park. And then the final petition, I think, relates to the Seaport Boulevard right-of-way. There's an old BRA easement for the construction of Seaport Boulevard in that area. That area ended up being outside of Seaport Boulevard. So the BRA is going to release that old easement, and in its place, we're asking for an acceptance of a pedestrian easement over a narrower strip that'll reflect the final sideway condition. So if we're able to accomplish all of those things, there's only one little piece left, which we'll come back for later, which is these blocks G1 and G2 at the corner. Those have arguably some MassDOT ownership because they were taken by the state for the benefit of the city. We may need the state to release whatever rights it has before we'll come back and finalize those parcels. But this will go a long way towards aligning those streets and these development blocks. So that's the overview. Happy to.
You did a very good job of unraveling that puzzle, Peter. Thank you.
We agree.
Right. Because the plans look like a puzzle.
I know, and there are more parcels than there might need to be for your purposes because the parcels come out of different old BRA parcels, right. That kind of thing. So.
Janet? Yes. I need your help on a matter. I'm sort of glad we have 3 weeks before we come for a public hearing. Before the square, before the Seaport area got divvied up into various parcels, there were basically 4 streets. You got Seaport Boulevard, Northern Avenue, which did a little kick, and Old Sleeper Street. All these projects, multiple projects, have benefited from our streets for construction purposes. And right now is the punchline. I don't know, I know it is not the city that is going to rebuild Seaport Boulevard or Northern Avenue or Old Sleeper Street. But what I don't know is who is going to. Each developer may be looking at their front door, but the street, who is going to rebuild the street?
When the Seaport's built out, what's the final repaving? Who does what?
Yes, who's going to clean up? Right. Okay. So from day one, you can go back many years. On day one, this commission asked the various BRA project managers to ensure whatever the TAPA plans, not the TAPAs, all your cooperation agreements, there has to be someone who gets tagged with rebuilding those streets. Because I'm fairly certain you are not expecting us to come and clean up that, since you wonderful developers did amazing things, but someone needs to come and clean it up. Okay? So as
We
much
can
as
talk
we
about
have a master, as much as we have a master maintenance agreement, which Ms. Cording has helped to pull together someone, and that is where I need BRA's help. Okay, and hopefully we can meet internally over the
We
next.
can find out what limits these guys will be repaving and figure out what the balance is and
Because it all needs to come together, because it cannot be 11-hour, 59-minute issue where someone is looking for the city or the commissioner to clean up that. That would be not fair.
That makes sense, we're still talking about it.
No, yes, but the time is approaching.
Yeah.
5 years ago, it was still like a interesting situation, but now you all are having tenants, people are occupying, and there are lots of pedestrians that are walking around. So there's an ongoing concern about the condition of sidewalks, how the streets are.
Okay. We'll talk about it over the next few weeks and
Will you
have more
please,
answers.
and if you can help us to figure out who is on point at BRA to ensure that there's some master developer or someone who is going to clean it up.
Yeah.
We hate to chase you afterwards.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
There's one thing that I didn't mention. Before we discontinue the parcel K, the old layout of Northern Avenue, the BRA is granting easements to Eversource, which has 2 lines in that area. So we've been working with them. The easements are in final form, and we'll certainly have them signed up before public hearing.
So all other facilities have been relocated?
Except for those KV lines.
It is staying put, right?
for today.
What about,
For now.
what about Seaport Boulevard now, below grade? You know, we have the MBTA Silver Line there now. How does this, I mean, you're showing a huge discontinuance there. You know, down to elevation 86, so you're talking about, you have 7 feet of discontinuance. Is that the thing?
Gary, I think that Silver Line actually at this point cuts through, no, you're right, it comes here, you go through, goes through this corner, 121 through here. This is when it starts to turn away. Our discontinuances are here and here. So we'll confirm it, but I believe we're 30, 40 feet away from the top.
Okay, all right.
And the depth is to ensure that they have enough room. We're not really sure where that, we just need a bottom limit, so we went aggressive.
70 feet down.
Yes.
Amy, who owns title, BRA, fee ownership?
Everybody here.
Majority or BRA? Majority.
But again, standard procedural rules will apply.
Well, yes, we're getting more than we're giving, or, yes, we're getting more than we're giving.
Also, just bring up the fact that, I mean, the realignment is still under reconstruction. They're commencing full-depth reconstruction this weekend.
Yep.
We haven't accepted the signals, so there's still a lot of work to do within that right-of-way.
Understood. Okay, Steve?
Okay, sounds like 3 weeks will be enough time.
Yeah.
We'll see you on October 6th for a public hearing.
Thank you.
Third item of new business, 136-150, 153-171, Massachusetts Avenue, Roxbury. Projection license on a petition by Berklee College of Music, Incorporated. Morning.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, and members of the commission. My name is Bill Whitney. I'm Vice President for Real Estate at the Berklee College of Music. We appreciate the commission hearing us today. When Berklee filed its institutional master plan notification form with the BRA a few years ago, we noted that Berklee at the time owned, I think, 18 separate buildings, aggregating about 850,000 square feet. The BRA encouraged us to develop a plan to improve the identity of the school so that it was clear where the college was located and a wayfinding program. What we came up with is to recreate, as it were, the marquee that used to exist on the former Fenway Theater with a new marquee that would be in the general location of the prior marquee. It would be internally illuminated. It would not flash or create any kind of distraction for the neighbors. In addition to the marquee that we would hope to put back, there is an existing canopy over the Berkeley Performance Center that has been there for quite some time. We propose to basically reskin it. It has a dark metal exterior with letters that are aluminum colored. We'd like to change that to pick up on the 150 Massachusetts Avenue canopies, which this commission supported, which would have a lighter aluminum fascia and better lighting underneath. In addition, there are some banners that we have on the 150 Massachusetts Avenue building. We'd like to extend those to some buildings that the college owns opposite our new building at 160 Massachusetts Avenue. So that's our request of the commission.
Mr. Whitney, since this is a license agreement, the petitioner has the right to come in the future and refresh this look if so desired.
Yeah, I mean, like, the content gets approved.
Then 10 years later,
right.
if you wanted a different look, you can always do that, right?
That's right. It's you know, we've reviewed the design with the BRA and they've approved it. We don't anticipate that changing. It won't, again, be a flashing thing, just kind of a static display.
Yeah, if it's not part of the master plan, then it has to have a comprehensive sign review by the BRA. So the BRA basically approves the signage for within the city of Boston. So.
And this is a result of that.
Very good.
Very good. Thank you.
3 weeks be enough time?
That'd be great.
Great. We'll see you for a public hearing on October 6th. Thank you, Mr. Whitney. Fourth item of new business, Cambridge Street, Tremont Street, Boston proper, specific repairs on a joint petition by SRI 10 Santa Plaza LLC and the Boston Redevelopment Authority.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, my name is Chris Machado. I'm an attorney with Goulston Stores, an address of 400 Atlantic Avenue in Boston. Joined today by Jen Cantalupo from Shorenstein Properties and by John Schmidt from Niche Engineering. We are here for a request for specific repairs to the pedestrian arcade along Cambridge Street and Tremont Street as it relates to Center Plaza. In 1960 to 69, the building was constructed pursuant to urban renewal efforts, and at the time the BRA made this disposition to the redeveloper, they reserved an easement along the pedestrian arcade for pedestrian travel. When our client purchased the property a few years ago, they started considering making repairs to the building to re-tenant it and make it more attractive. And when they spoke to the BRA made clear that they didn't want to retain that easement any longer. They felt that the city of Boston should be the appropriate easement holder, given that it abuts a city street, and the BRA is not in the business of maintaining those easements. So in connection with the project, the BRA and the city of Boston have been working on a scheme that would involve the BRA releasing its easement, a portion of its easement, while retaining review rights and certain other rights over the building, or a small strip along the building face. The city of Boston would then acquire the easement from a grant from Shorenstein. This commission approved that grant in October of last year. And after this easement agreement is being finalized currently with the PIC's legal department and with our office. Once that agreement is in place, we will then make the specific repairs that are proposed to the pedestrian arcade. And I will turn it over to John Schmidt, who can go over those repairs for you. If there are any questions as to the structure of the agreement or the legal issues involved, I'd be happy to answer those questions.
John, before you go, sir.
Yes.
After you transfer the easement rights from BRA to the city, pedestrians will still walk on a surface that is to be maintained by who?
It would be maintained, right? It would be maintained by Shorenstein Properties.
Exactly. So
that's right.
Thank you.
So do you represent 3 Center Plaza?
Represent SRI 10 Center Plaza LLC, the owner of all 3 portions of the Center Plaza building.
The acronym SRI, it stands for?
It's Shorenstein, I think, Real Estate Investment.
Thank you.
Sure.
But, the last time a representative came here from 3 Center Plaza, I had asked that they work with the BRA to review the parking in the rear of your property. All right, what's the status of that?
Is that the parking along Pemberton Square?
Correct.
Yeah, we're working with the BRA and their legal staff to determine care, custody, and control over Pemberton Square. It's not clear to us who maintains control. That was originally vested in the Suffolk County Courthouse Commission, but I understand that that entity is no longer in existence. Perhaps the BRA could speak to those issues.
Okay, so I've been working with the City Law Department. We are trying to get a contact at the courthouse, which I've called someone up there to see who it should be, but I don't have anyone yet.
Right.
So we are working on it.
The original development was that there was no parking allowed.
Exactly.
All right.
That was supposed to be
There's
on
a
the
lot of parking now.
Yeah, there's only supposed to be parking up to that gate, I think. There's a gate there.
So is some of it the property owner?
No,
Parking
the
or is it all
surface,
courthouse?
the majority of it is, the surface is the city's. A little piece is the BRA's, but the majority is the city's.
Who's parking there? I know the
Oh,
courthouse.
who's parking there? I think the courthouse. Actually, it's the city, but as you said, it was given to the courthouse entity that no longer exists. And I'm trying to track down who came after that, who got the rights and obligations of that entity.
So to me, all right, as representing ISD, that this building is in violation of the zoning code.
But the surface is the city's. The surface was given back. They don't control
We
it.
don't control access to the back.
But we got parking.
We do not have parking back there.
Tenants from your
But
building.
people are parking, I think, from some of your tenants, right?
So we have loading and unloading that goes on back there because we only have an 11-foot loading dock. So we coordinate access through the courthouse to provide our larger vehicles to make deliveries and leave. We do not allow any tenants, nor do we control parking back there.
Is it possible that the Department of Capital Asset Management, the state agency, may have taken the operational?
They may have.
And if so, I think the staff knows some key staff members over there who may be able to clarify which state governmental agency is overseeing the operational aspects of that service area.
Right, so I've been working with Henry Lutine in the City Law Department, and he gave me that, he had made some initial inquiries and got like a second or third step, and I made the latest phone call to that person.
What was the original layout plan, though? It was laid out as a city street, correct?
Originally, it was originally before the construction, but then it was discontinued, and nothing, from what I can see, when the surface was given back and parts of it transferred to the city and the courthouse, it doesn't look like there was any layout through PIC. And I don't think.
Documentation?
Yeah, I'll go back and look. I know it gets murky at a certain point, but I don't think that we have a formal, I think it was discontinued and then nothing happened,
Right.
so.
I think there is part of the street that comes down next to the courthouse that hits it, but I think in front is
We're
not.
definitely in some phase of limbo.
We'll have to get the history detectives after this.
Yeah.
Where's John Sheehan when you need him?
Chris, thank you. John, do you want to go through some of the specific?
Sure. As you may be aware, the existing plaza area consists of brick and some granite pavers and some concrete infill. What we're going to do is replace all of that and remove it and replace it with poured concrete. So the full plaza will be a poured concrete material similar to the city sidewalk. And also much of that plaza right now, much of that arcade right now is non-compliant for accessibility. So we are, the public sidewalk piece, the 9-foot wide public sidewalk will be completely compliant. There are some areas that are non-compliant within the furnishing zone. And we have a variance from MAAB for this design. So we met with them last spring and got approval for the design that's being presented today.
The sidewalk cafes or the cafes that are there, the Kingsale.
Private property.
They are now outside the easement.
So we are not, the easement is not capturing.
It should not be public works concern.
All the cafe zones will be in a BRA easement.
And obviously, this design is coordinated with the MBTA efforts.
Yes, we've gone through a lot of iterations with them, and as you can see, that curbing and sidewalk work is going in now. The design meets the curb as constructed, and we will go back and replace a lot of the concrete that they're pouring now and the big concrete that they're placing now in order to raise some of it to meet our work, because we're raising it for accessibility, as well as the building needs to do some waterproofing improvements, so they have to get in there and fix that as well. This work won't occur until next spring. There's a CMP that is being drafted and will be presented to you in the next month or so.
This doesn't impact any of the existing meter layout?
coordinated all that. Everything, basically, it's all the work that we're doing is concrete work. We're not doing any new infrastructure. The ramps that are being constructed today remain in their location. So it's pretty straightforward.
And the work I see going on out there is part of the MBTA
That
project,
is
correct?
part of the
Yeah, so the piece you're talking about will go up to their piece?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it would be from the face of the internal building to the curb line.
Okay.
There's an overlap. They're coming back and redoing a portion that the MBTA is occupying.
Great.
I hate to continue this, but your tenants aren't using it. Are you renting it to the state?
We don't have any control, or we don't provide access back there. The courthouse controls the gate that allows people in and out of there. We have a 575 car parking garage below the surface that we maintain. We have someone operate for us. That's our parking. We don't want people parking back there. We want them parking in our garage because that's a revenue stream for us. So we have gone to our neighbors, we've gone to the court and asked for, why are there people parking back here? What can we do about it? We, as one of the larger abutters to that area, would like to see it cleaned up. We don't want the cars back there, so we're in agreement that it should be an open place.
See, but my problem is that I cite the property owner. If I write a violation, I cite you.
But it's the city.
It's not our property.
It's the city that
It's
owns
the city, and the BRA piece is down by One Beacon, so most of the parking is on the city piece. But it's city given to this courthouse entity that doesn't exist, so we're trying to track down who got those rights so that we can talk to them and tell them this wasn't the intent.
Rick, with your institutional knowledge in the enforcement area there, have we ever done any enforcement back in Pemberton Square?
No, we've never done that.
No, well, the problem is that, it started out with a few cars, and then it's just increased over the past 3 or 4 years. I mean, it is a lot of cars parking there. And then to me, it was basically all for pedestrian. Now it's, there's a lot of traffic up there. It shouldn't be.
It was when they did the construction on the courthouse that it became this parking lot versus, before that it was always open space. So we have to bring it back, yeah.
Campbell's knows within the tent. Yep.
From maintenance agreement, this is one of those maintenance agreements where we need to be absolutely clear about the divorce laws, because this will be through perpetuity. So if you could.
Yes, Chong Liu from the Law Department. I'm the counsel for this board. I have been working with Chris, the counsel for the developer, for the easement, and we will work together on the maintenance agreement. For the easement, it's rather complex. The BRA will grant us a easement and reserve a portion of BRA easement for the BRA, and work with Jurgen to make sure the two easement to connect. Just simply, we have some issues I need to work out with Chris about the easement grant to the PIC. And there existing improvement in the easement area to us. There will be new improvements coming in. And I think we need some time to work these things out. And I rather have the things both maintenance agreement and easement agreement work out before the commission vote. Of course, it's the commission's own decision. I just want to remind the commission we need some time to sort these issues out. Thank you.
To summarize, we have an outstanding easement agreement from their prior action. We will not vote until that easement is finalized, and this agreement will be executed by you prior to our vote.
We understand that, we accept that.
And not to muddy the median on Cambridge Street or Scully Square, the look of it, if you notice, is very similar to what the median looks like further down Cambridge Street. It's that double layered cake. But here we have not programmed anything, unlike further down near MGH where we have plantings. So since you, not you sir, you ma'am are the single large property owner, there may be others who, not us, others who may look to programming that median space, and if it comes to that, you can imagine who will be responsible for the maintenance of that space, because you as the single abutter maybe. So as long as you have that understanding as the newest owner of that whole building.
Yeah.
Right now I think it is just flat with some cobblestones on it, right?
Yeah. And Previously, we maintained the kind of triangle island that was between the crosswalks.
So that triangle island now goes all the way to the next stop line.
Great. Will 3 weeks be enough time?
I think so.
Okay, we'll see you for a public hearing on October 6th.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, Chris.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Harold.